everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the design of the brand new Ferrari SF90 XX Stradale. I'm going to be breaking down all the cool features of this design and showing you guys my thoughts on it. So let's just jump right into it. So to start off, I want to give some of my first thoughts. Then I'm going to do the breakdown of each feature and view of this car. And then I'm going to give my final thoughts. So to start off, I think that looking at this design, it's definitely built for performance. You could see that very clearly from the first glance that this is a track-focused and aggressive performance car. One of the things that I also see about this car is that, on some of the road cars of Ferrari, you have kind of an element of elegance and luxury, and you cannot find that on this car. This is pure performance. So that's really the vibe that I get from this design immediately. Another thing that I think about is form follows function. If you don't know what that is kind of a design philosophy that is taken by some performance cars and other cars when designing them, that the form of the car, the styling, the design that it takes on is created by the engineering side of it, the function. And one of the things that I'm going to be talking about throughout this video is that everything on this car has a purpose or a reason to be there. Everything has a function. And all of these features that have what they have and they contribute to the car in some way, all of that adds up and creates the design of this car. That's form follows function, and that's what this car has. That's pretty much all I wanted to say at first. Now let's jump into the breakdown. To start off, I want to go over the front view. So how this is going to work is basically I'm just going to go over all of the features of this front end, and I'm going to be showing you guys what these features contribute to the car and what they do and all of that stuff. So let's just jump right in. One of the first things I'll notice is the headlights. These are pretty similar, if not the same, to the ones on the regular SF90. You have the daytime running lights down here, and then you have the main headlights in here. Pretty similar and pretty basic. Now, I want to move into the lower part first, and then we'll talk about the upper part, like the hood area. The lower part is completely different from the regular SF90. You have all kinds of vents and intakes and all that stuff. So to start off, right under the headlights, you have this gaping vent right here. And what this does is it's an air intake that channels air. So air comes in here, and then the air is channeled through here, and then it goes directly to the front brakes. And this is cool air that is flowing into the front brakes. So what it does is it helps with cooling. And cooling is extremely important in a car like this because when you're constantly braking for corners and stuff around the track, that is very, very important. So you need an intake like this to help with brake cooling. One of the next things that you'll notice is kind of this main grille area. Air will go in here, and then you see these two sort of air outlets here on the upper part. So what will happen is that air will go through this main grille area, and then it'll come out through these air outlets and continue over the car. So that's kind of what these two main areas do. The other layer, the bottom layer, is the front splitter. Front splitters are found on a lot of sports cars and a lot of performance cars in general because they help, again, it's in the name, they help split the air. So front splitters, what they do is air that's coming near the bottom of the car, some of it will be channeled up to go into whatever intake or wherever it needs to go, and then some of it will be split to go under the car. And now a lot of modern supercars will have underbody like flaps and features that will help with aerodynamics under the car, which is, I think, a pretty interesting thing. And that's kind of what a front splitter will do, essentially. It'll help you with that airflow under the car and also into this lower part. Next to that though, I've highlighted these features right here. This is also an air outlet, so when air, I assume, is under the car, it can also be channeled through here, and then it will be taken outside of the car and it'll go around the side. And what this does is it creates an air curtain, and this air curtain flows around the front wheel, again helping with cooling and also helping with airflow. You can find another little air outlet right here in this little feature here that will also help create that same sort of air curtain around the front wheel. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this sort of middle section here. So you have this little fin here, and then what will happen in this middle part is, again, air will go in when you're driving, and what will happen is the air will go up and it'll come out through these air outlets over here. I believe these are called S-ducts, and they're found on a lot of racing cars and performance cars. And so the air will go in through here and it'll come out through here. And once it goes out through here, it's going to travel up over the roof of the car. And then once it travels up and over, it's going to go around here and it's going to go right into the rear wing that I'm going to talk about later in this video. Again, all features that kind of contribute to the airflow of the car. The front end especially is very important when it comes to aerodynamics and cooling and airflow. So that's why you have all of these features here on this car that help do just that. Now we move on to the side view. And the side view is really not that interesting because most of it goes unchanged from the regular SF90, but I'm going to go over it anyway. So firstly, you have this waistline that has this upswing here. Below that, you have the side skirts. So you have this feature here, and you have some fins, again helping with underbody aerodynamics and also air that's coming around the side of the car. That all helps with that. Then you have the shoulder line, and this shoulder line is really nice because it has good line flow. I've talked about line flow before on other design reviews, and what this line does is it starts over here, or well, it doesn't start, but it connects right here to the corner of the taillight area, and then it flows down here. You create this shoulder line that is pretty low from this other one, this other line here, which is pretty typical for Ferraris. And then you have this line continuing all the way, and it goes to this corner, which if I go back to the front end, you'll notice is this corner right here. So you have this shoulder line that just kind of goes all the way around the full length of the car, and that is a good example of line flow. Line flow is very important in car designs. You always want to make sure that your lines are connected and that they flow well, because it'll improve everything. It'll improve the aerodynamics in some cases, it'll improve the aesthetics and all of that. So very important, line flow. You want to make sure that your design has that, and this car does, which is pretty good. So another example of line flow, actually, if you continue the upswing, you'll go right into this side intake. Now this side intake is pretty much the same as the other SF90. Again, a lot of what's in the side view goes unchanged. You just have some extra features that I'm going to talk about right now. So those are kind of the lines of the car, but what you'll notice, one of the most prominent features in the side view that is not on the regular SF90 are these side louvers. Now, what do these do? These are found, again, on a lot of race cars and a lot of performance cars because, again, they help with brake cooling. You'll notice that they are on the front and the rear of this car. So what they do is when your brakes are running, which on a car like this, your brakes will be very important. And when your brakes are running, they get hot and the air around them gets hot. So while there's cool air going in, which we talked about before, you need to get the hot air out. So what these louvers do is they're essentially air outlets. And what they do is they take the hot air and they take it out of the wheel area. So that way the cool air can go in and help cool the brakes. So they're also for brake cooling. and again, you have them on the front and the rear, so same case. And those, again, will take out the hot air so that cool air can go in, and then they help with cooling, and they also help to improve some of the aerodynamics inside the wheel, because you want good airflow everywhere around the car, including in the wheels, because reducing drag is very important, and that includes inside the wheels and in the brake system, so those help with cooling and airflow as well. Now I want to move on to the rear view, because the rear view has pretty much the most amount of changes from the regular SF90, starting with the taillights, because you'll notice on the regular SF90 you have square taillights. I was never a fan of these square taillights, never really liked them, but good luck, they are no longer here, and now what you have instead is a full width taillight bar. That's right, we love our full width taillight bars. Those are quite popular among modern cars now, although I do think it's kind of a dying trend. I do think that it was a good move for Ferrari to add this, because I think it's a design element that they're starting to add in their Le Mans hypercar, the 499P. They also have a full width taillight bar, so I think it's something that they're trying to adopt. And if it is, then I'm glad that they're adding it onto this car to kind of help that. One of the other things that you'll notice immediately is this massive rear wing. And rear wings are very, very important on performance cars. You'll see them on a ton of performance cars. And that is because rear wings help with downforce. Now, what is downforce? Downforce is the opposite of lift. So what takes a plane into the air, the opposite of that sticks this Ferrari to the track. And that is very important because it will help you with handling and cornering and all that good stuff. So you have lots of downforce on this car because of the rear wing and other features that I'm going to talk about. But this rear wing, not only does it help with downforce, but it also helps improve airflow, something I've been talking about throughout this entire video. Now, if you remember when we talked about the front end, the air will go out those ducts on the hood, and it will go all the way over the car, and it will go to this rear wing. Right, so air will go under the rear wing, and that helps create the downforce, and the air will also go over the wing, and then it kind of steadies out that area, because the rear is an area of the car that usually has a lot of disruption from the air, and that creates drag, and that's not good. So you want this wing because it'll help to kind of straighten out the airflow and sort of clean it up in the rear, and then you also have it for downforce, which is good for track cars. Down here in the lower part of the rear, you have these two exhaust pipes right in the middle, and then you have these air outlets over here. Now, these air outlets are kind of interesting because they are found right behind the rear wheels, and you'll see that on some other track cars too. And what these do is they also, you guessed it, they help with cooling and airflow. Most of the features that you'll see on this car do just that. It's a thing that I've been explaining throughout this entire video. They basically do what the louvers do. These air outlets behind the wheels, they help release the hot air from the wheels and from the brakes. So they help to take out that hot air so that cool air can go in. And then again, they create kind of an air curtain behind the car that helps with airflow. You have this other area over here, kind of this grill area like you would have in the front, except it's in the rear. And this does the exact same thing that the side intake does, except it does it for the engine instead of the brakes. So the engine, it's the same case. You need to get cool air in and hot air out. So the this grill area helps to take the hot air out. Now the next thing and the final thing about the rear are these two massive diffusers. These can also be found on the SF90, though they are not as prominent and as in your face as they are on this XX Stradale model. So you have this diffuser, and if you don't know what diffusers do, they basically do what the rear wing does, except they do it in the lower part of the car. So the rear wing helps improve airflow and creates downforce on top of the rear, and the diffuser helps create downforce and helps airflow on the bottom of the car. So we talked about underbody aerodynamics before, and that air that's being channeled under the car, well, it's released through these massive things, and it's also kind of straightened up like the rear wing does through these features here, and then that creates good airflow, and it also creates downforce. So that's pretty much it for the rear. Those are all the features that I wanted to talk about. Look at that. We've completed the breakdown of the entire car, and I've showed you guys all the features. Hopefully you guys have a little bit of a better understanding now of what makes a good performance car and kind of the engineering side of it, and what you kind of have to do in terms of like aerodynamics and cooling and all of that when it comes to these types of cars. It's really complicated stuff, but I hope that I was able to make it a little bit easier for you to understand. Now that we're done with the breakdown of this design though, I do want to talk about my final thoughts. What I think about this design after having looked at it a little bit closer up with you guys. So I think that overall, this SF90 XX Stradale is a really good looking car with a lot of performance features built in, and you guys would know because we just went over them all. But this car definitely is form follows function. It's something that I said at the beginning of the video, and it's something that I'm going to keep saying because it is really kind of the name of the game when it comes to cars like this. You need the design and the engineering to be able to interact in a way that creates a cool looking design like this and a good looking design like this, but it's also very functional. Like I said, every little thing on this car has a reason to be there and it has a purpose. Form follows function. That is the name of the game when it comes to these track-focused supercars. Considering Ferrari's motorsport history, I think it's really great that they were able to add a car like this into their lineup, even though it's still just a limited production run. That's going to be the end of this design review. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys learned something today from my design review. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I have some other videos coming up soon that are not design reviews, so if you want to see what I've been planning, be sure to stay tuned and keep up with my channel. Maybe support my channel by subscribing and liking the video if you want. And yeah, you don't want to miss what's coming next because I have some cool ideas for videos that I want to show you guys. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed my design review of the Ferrari SF90 XX Stradale, and I will see you in my next videos.